DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com, WorkOnYourGame.com. Let's talk about giving up. And you want to be willing to give up in order to level up. Meaning, actually, I'll tell you something I was just thinking about recently. It was an NBA player named Paul George. If you follow basketball, you probably heard of Paul George. Pretty good player. Has a lot of fans. And a lot of people would call him very skilled. That's the term that a lot of ball players and fans like to use these days, skilled, whatever that means. And Paul George is probably he's going to make the Hall of Fame of basketball when his career is done. Looking at the other players that are getting into the Hall of Fame, he's probably going to make the Hall of Fame. Paul George is noted not only for his game. He is a good player. He's been an all-star several times and all that. Right now, he's signed to my hometown Philadelphia 76ers. They signed him to a big contract. He has not had a good season this year when I'm recording this. And Paul is known for also having a podcast. I don't know how popular his podcast is, but people know that he has one because he has fans. He recently announced, a few days ago from when I'm recording this, that he was going to put his podcast on pause so that he could help his team, the Philadelphia 76ers, try to make the playoffs and contend for a championship. That was his language, what he said. I'm going to help my team try to make the playoffs and contend for a championship. Right now, as of this recording, the Philadelphia 76ers are they would not be in the playoffs if the playoffs started today. And the NBA now has this thing called the play-in. So instead of 8 teams making the playoffs, 2 more teams get a chance to play for the playoffs. So 10 teams get to have a chance. The Sixers, last I checked, were in 12th place. So they wouldn't even have a chance even if the season ended right now. Sixers have played about 60 games so far this year. They've lost 2/3 of the games. They are 20-37, the last that I looked. So out of 57 games, they've lost 37 of the games. Paul George is having probably his worst season since he's become, notable. Since he's become a star, he's having his worst season in the NBA. And he's had the podcast the entire time. The whole time, at least the last couple of years, he's had a podcast. And I found it very ironic and amazing that he even came out and made the statement that he made. 2/3 of the way into the season, 60 games, they got 80 games, so let's say 3/4 of the way into the season. They played about 60, they got 82. That he's announcing, I'm going to pause my podcast so I can focus on helping the team try to make the playoffs. And then he talked about winning a championship. Paul George hasn't won any championships. I don't think he's ever played in the NBA Finals. The Sixers ain't going to the NBA Finals. They're not contending for a championship. They're just trying to make the playoffs where they're going to get, if they make the playoffs, they're going to get stomped out in the first round by a team that's actually good. And just this afternoon when I'm recording this, I heard that their superstar player, quote-unquote superstar, Joel Embiid, is going to be out for the season, which we pretty much could have predicted when they saw he had knee issues. We knew his season was going to be over. He pretty much gets injured every year. So what's crazy about this is Paul George announcing that he's going to pause the podcast as if he's doing some type of public service for his employer to help the team try to win the championship and contend for the playoffs in the NBA. Dude, your full-time job is to help a team win the championship and, make the playoffs, first of all, and win the championship. That's your full-time job, playing basketball. The way he made that announcement and the way it's framed, and a lot of people ridiculed this, rightfully, they should. But dude, you're acting like, the fact that he even said that is as if he's doing something that's altruistic for his employer when Paul George signed a contract with the Sixers for, I believe it was over $200 million, or maybe exactly $200 million, just to play basketball. That's all he needed to do. And why even have a podcast? Why do you even need to have a podcast? I mean, you make it $200 million playing basketball. Are you trying to supplement your income? What's the purpose of you having a podcast? You just feel like you have to talk? And I've heard a lot of basketball players' podcasts. They ain't really saying much. I mean, if you got fans and people want to hear you, then I guess do what you want to do. But at the same time, if you're out there underperforming on the court, and your team is garbage, why do you even have a podcast? And the whole point of all of this, the reason I'm even bringing all this up is this. If you want to perform at your highest level at anything, whether you're playing basketball, whether you're a podcaster who plays basketball or a basketball player who podcasts, or anything else, running a business, running a family, heading a family, anything that you're doing, any kind of career, business, endeavor, etc. You have to ask yourself, in order for me to be the best at this, what are some other things going on in my life that I may enjoy and may even be good at that I might have to give up just so I can be the best that I can be at this thing? And it's not you giving it up because you may look at it and say, well, I think I can do everything. That's the way a lot of people live these days. I can do everything. I can be the best basketball player I can be. and I can run 3 businesses on the side of being a basketball player, and I'm gonna have a podcast, and I'm gonna be a media presence, and I'm gonna do all of those things at the same time. That's not possible, ladies and gentlemen, by just the laws of human nature. Law of human nature, one rule of human nature is the following. Human beings can only focus on one thing at a time. That's a scientific rule. You cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. Meaning, if you are dividing your focus between 2, 3, 4, 6 things, there is no way possible you could be doing your best at any one of those things because you are dividing your focus. You cannot be your best at anything if you are dividing your focus amongst multiple things. People who are the best at the things that they do, they don't do anything else. I saw this graphic of this guy, Lewis Hamilton. Y'all know Lewis Hamilton? He's an F1 racer. I know nothing about F1 racing. I wouldn't know this dude if I walked past him in the grocery store. But I saw this, it was like a graphic. And he was saying that you can't compare him to other people who race. And he was basically talking shit. But one of the things that he said in the graphic as I was reading it, and I never even, again, I wouldn't even know who this guy was if I saw him. But one of the things he said in the graphic was, I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't do anything else other than race. And I'm glad I read him say that because that's the exact point. I'm assuming that this man, Mr. Hamilton, I'm assuming he's a very good performer in F1 racing. I'm guessing that he is, being that he's saying what he's saying in this post. But the essence, the energy behind what he was saying captures exactly the point that I'm making to you all right now. One of the reasons, according to him, that he's good at what he does is because all he does is drive that car. All he does is race. What the hell is this woman doing? All he does is race. And that's the reason why he's really good at what he does. Now, again, you got players these days who are trying to do a little bit of everything. Everybody's trying to be all these different things besides just be the main thing that you're known for. And the problem with this is, I said this, I made content talking about this when you see basketball players trying to rap. And they really want to be taken seriously as a rapper. Like Damian Lillard was on the cover, I believe, ESPN, the magazine, talking shit about how he's a serious rapper and how even 2 Chainz said that I was a good rapper. And that's hilarious. The fact that he used 2 Chainz, giving him a cosign as that's validation that you can rap because 2 Chainz said you can rap. Again, we can make a lot of jokes about that one. But anyway, the point being, Damian Lillard, can you be the best basketball player you can be before you try to be somebody in a whole different industry? How about you try to win a championship in the NBA before you worry about somebody taking you seriously as a rapper? What the hell does that even matter? You're known because you're a basketball player, not because you're a rapper. If you were actually a great rapper, guess what? You would have made it as a rapper and you would be playing basketball. That's the way I look at it. Same thing I would say about Shaquille O'Neal back in the day when he was trying to rap. When he stopped rapping, he won the MVP and won the championship 3 years in a row. Kobe Bryant tried to make a rap album. He shelved it, and then Kobe became Kobe. Allen Iverson put out a rap album, didn't win the championship. He stopped his rap career, and he had a pretty good career in the NBA. Thing is, folks, I'm using basketball players as an example here, but I'm talking to all of you. What do you need to give up in your life so you can focus on the main thing, keep it the main thing, be the best you can be at that main thing? What is the main thing? For some of you, you don't even know the answer because you got 8 different things going on, and then you're wondering why you're not getting the most out of any one of them. The first thing all of you need to do is create a hierarchy. It needs to be very clear what your hierarchy is. What is your number 1 priority? What's number 2? What's number 3? And they need to be in order. What is number 1? You cannot have 10 things as number 1 all at the same time. That's not a thing. That's impossible. If you plan on maximizing your output in anything, you must make it a priority, and everything else must get in line behind that main thing. I remember this business coach, I was in this program a few years ago. He said he was getting coached by somebody before that, and the business coach asked him, what's your priority what's your number 1 priority? And the guy, the business coach, he said, well, my priority is my wife and my kids, my family. And the coach said back to him, okay, cool. Your wife and your kids are your priority? Great. Now I want you to go pull out your checkbook and pull out your calendar, and let's go look at your last 3 months and see if your checkbook and your calendar reflect that your priority is your family and your kids. And the coach, he was telling the story. He said, I immediately felt embarrassed as soon as the coach said that to me, the other coach he had. As soon as the coach said that to me, I immediately felt embarrassed because I knew what that calendar and checkbook was going to say, which is, hell no, my family is not my priority. My priority is clearly my profession and my business because that's where all my time and all my money is going. All of you, where's your time and money going? And some of you may say, well, look, basketball players don't have to work all day. I've been a professional athlete. I know this. We don't have to work all day. A long day at work for us is 4 hours. At the same time, if you are putting energy and mental energy into doing other things besides playing basketball and you still haven't maxed out your talent in basketball, you look crazy doing things other than your main thing. And you want an example of this? Let's look at Michael Jordan. I just gave you a couple examples. Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant. When all they focused on was basketball, they did pretty good. And Kobe did that for most of his career. Shaq did it for a little window. Michael Jordan did it his whole career. All he focused on was basketball. What else did Michael Jordan do? Nothing. And Michael Jordan made it clear. He wrote this in his books that when he started getting business opportunities because he was such a hot commodity in sports, he told his business people and the people who wanted to do business with him, listen, the only way I will do any of these deals is if you don't interfere with my ability to be prepared to play basketball. If you get in my way with basketball, I'm dropping the business. I'll drop the business before I drop anything from basketball. That was Michael Jordan's priority. And I think we can see by Michael Jordan's results that he wasn't lying. Well, Michael Jordan recorded the movie Space Jam in I believe this is 95, 96. Michael Jordan told the producers of the movie, a lot of people don't know this, he told the producers of the movie that I will only do this movie if you create an environment where I can train the exact same way that I would train even if I wasn't doing the movie. If you interfere with my training, I'm not doing the movie. So if this is going to interfere with my training, the answer is no. Y'all got to set it up so I can do all my training the same way I would even if I was not doing a movie. So what they did was they built a basketball gym with weights, a court, and everything on the set where he was recording the movie so he could still do his normal workouts, and in between the workouts, he filmed scenes for the movie. That's why Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan. Now, I'm not telling you to be Michael Jordan. I'm not even telling you to play basketball. You only have to like basketball. What I'm saying is, what is your focus? Is it a clear priority? And is your calendar, your checkbook, and everybody else in your life aligned with knowing what your priorities are? If someone was to look at you and they didn't know anything about you, would they know what your focus is? Is it obvious? Because if you're seriously focused on it, it should be obvious. It shouldn't even be a question. Nobody should even be concerned, like, is this person really focused on it? They shouldn't be asking. It should be clear what your focus is by your behaviors. As they say, a tree is known by its fruit. You know you have an apple tree, you see apples coming off of it. You know you got I don't know, where do oranges come from a tree? You know you got an orange tree, you see oranges coming off a tree. Now you see all different things coming off a tree. Well, what kind of tree is it? Well, we don't know. That's not even a thing, but you get my point. What's your focus, and what do you need to drop to make sure that your focus is getting your full focus the way you claim that it is, but it's actually not? That's the question you should ask yourself. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Dre all day.